Sup? That other Joe Kelly here. Nice to meet you. How's the family? How you doing? You good? You good? All right. So, what if I told you I could take away all of your human cares right now with just a snap of...
Hey, knock it off. You promised.
We're talking. We're just talking, right? We're having a conversation, getting to know one another. It's cool. It's cool.
Open your mind to me.
That's it. You're going back to your dimension.
You are not my dad. Shut up.
You can't tell me what to do.
You know what? It's okay. This was a bad idea. Let's just call it here.
I'm a cosmic entity. I'm like the buoyant
You're
wind.
not listening, are you?
Breathe.
So, that Joe Kelly asked me to come here and, like, school you on villainy.
Which is a little bit my jam. I'm kind of an expert. So a little about me.
I'm a cosmic being that was born in the picoseconds after the Big Bang. I slaughtered my entire family and ultimately planet to prove my dominance. Since then, I travel and I go on, well, what you would consider vacations. I visit a planet. I take on the shape of, whatever life form happens to be dominant at the time. And after I've lived a few lifetimes and gotten a gist of your world, I remove all higher brain functions and cause worldwide war. Then, while all you monkeys are fighting, I come in and battle the whole planet to death using cosmic beams, telekinesis, mind control, teleportation, and of course, the Eternity Blade, which is a quantum vorpal sword that can cut through the multiverse. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Help, I'm in a nutshell. I learned that from here. And after this video thing, I'm gonna fight that Joe Kelly for the fate of your planet. And just to put this in perspective, that Joe Kelly has never been in a fight, has borderline high cholesterol, and his idea of working out is getting in those steps. So, he's your only hope. Good luck with that. Seriously.
You're forgetting something.
I'm sorry. He's logged in 15 hours of multiverses, so he is a total brawler. Ho ho ho. Can't wait.
I also control the edit.
Hey everyone, that Joe Kelly here. I'm not going to refer to myself as that Joe Kelly. Hey everybody, Joe Kelly here. Welcome to the channel if you are new here, and if you're a return customer, thank you for coming back. Good to see you again. A follower of mine on Twitter asked a question about balancing out heroes and villains so that one is not too overpowered. So I thought this was a great question, and it applies to anything, whether you're doing superheroes, fantasy realms, or even a romantic comedy set in a high school. We need to look at our cast of characters, specifically our protagonist and our antagonist, and make sure that there is not a crazy imbalance of power to the point where the story becomes unbelievable. Right? Does that sound right to you? Let's look at a few classic matchups and see how they balance out in terms of strictly physical power. And I know that I said this would apply even to romantic comedies, but we're going to start with some really easy examples here. So, physical power. The Krypton Kid versus the Silicon Valley Sucker. They are not balanced at all. The literal Ice Princess and her plucky sister. The Half-Wit Halfling versus Permanent Red Eye. Rich Boy versus Halvesies. All of these matchups are wildly imbalanced. So isn't that bad? Not only isn't it bad, it's actually really important. The greatest hero-villain combos all have a drastic imbalance of power on paper. And this doesn't matter, again, whether you're talking about superheroes, fantasy, or Mean Girls, right? There is a big imbalance of power. And this lends itself to one of the basic tenets of drama. We want to put a least likely protagonist in the lead role. And what does that mean? It's literally in the name. They are the least likely character to succeed in the world that you're creating. But hold up. You put Superman on that list. He is not the least likely anything. Superman can look at Lex Luthor sideways and game over. And that would be boring as hell if the stories we were working on were only about physical power. What happens when we introduce the human element? What happens when we introduce character traits that are powerful enough that they can actually impact your world? So let's look at those same matchups, but through a different lens.
Pure power of unadulterated ego and capitalism. How about the ability to love unconditionally? What about humility? And of course, the power of friendship. And what about self-sacrifice?
So you see, we've inverted the power dynamics just by introducing real human characteristics, by focusing on the characters, not their powers. Lex's ruthless nature makes him a real foil for Superman, because Superman will never ever hit that level of evil in his mind. He can't conceive of that stuff. Frodo gets over on Sauron because Sauron thinks he's insignificant. His ego and Frodo's lack of ego leads to the villain's downfall. And to give credit where credit is due, that other Joe Kelly was right. If a super cosmic being were to go toe-to-toe with this, that would not be particularly satisfying if I won. It would make no sense unless we look at the characters. Is there a story where there's emotional components where I actually might be able to overcome him on a different level? What if we had been friends in one of his crazy lifetimes on Earth? What if we grew up together? What if we had a real relationship that was built over the course of a lifetime? Is there a story there? I don't know. I'm making it up on the fly, but there's something more than Galactus steps on an ant. Now, of course, you want to be subtle when you're constructing these worlds, right? You don't want it to be so obvious that my incredible loving heart is going to be the thing that brings down the cosmic giant. That would be just as disappointing. We want to be subtle and let the audience realize, oh, that critical character element of my least likely protagonist is the thing that propels them to success. But what happens if my characters are really similar? They're like two sides of the same coin. Spike and Vicious from Cowboy Bebop, both quasi-nihilistic gang members who excel in hand-to-hand combat, and Drip, Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Savage Canadians with a thirst for violence and adamantium claws.
Any Green Lantern versus any Green Lantern. Basically all have the same power. You know they do. It's true. Don't at me. And yet, if you are a fan of any of these particular stories, when these matchups happen, they are awesome. Throughout Cowboy Bebop, the spine of that story is what will happen when Spike and Vicious come together. Every time Wolverine and Sabretooth go head-to-head, it is an event. And Green Lantern versus Green Lantern owes itself to a lot of creativity and surprise, right? The reason we care so much when we see these characters go head-to-head is because we know we're watching the physicalization of an actual relationship. Yes, it's cool to see some bombastic action and an incredible sequence that melts your eyeballs, but that stuff goes away really quick if you don't care about the relationship. Wolverine and Sabretooth have known each other for like 100 years, and Sabretooth resents Wolverine for choosing a different path than his. Spike and Vicious were brought up as brothers, but when romance upset their relationship, the gloves came off. And I mean, you can pick your favorite Green Lanterns. I've already belabored this joke. The cool relationships are Hal and Sinestro. They're Guy Gardner. I don't really know enough about the Green Lanterns to list them off. If you can make them happen in the moment, if you can give us that relationship in the story we're reading right now, that's just as effective as anything that happens long term. Just think of movies that you really care about where characters are set on a collision course. They're characters you were introduced to at the beginning of the movie, and you watch their whole story play out till the end of the movie. If it was impactful for you, the writer did their job. You did not have to watch 10 other movies in order to care about these characters. So when you approach your stories, don't rely on magic and pyrotechnics and superpowers to drive the emotion. That's icing on the cake. Come up with a relationship that means something to you, and it will mean something to us as your audience. That's the real work. So the answer to how do I make sure that my characters are not too overpowered is to write their relationship instead of writing their battles. You do that, even if your characters can break the moon, first, they'll break our hearts. So I hope that helps for all of you who are putting together worlds of big power builds or big power disparities, even if they are right around the corner from where you live. Let me know in the comments below how it's going for you. What are you working on? What are your characters doing? And if you have any questions, always fire away. I'm happy to answer them. So until then, keep working, get creative, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.